The summer is here, the sun is out, and it's time to shine like a bronzed goddess. If you're new here, hi, my name is Salima, and today we are talking all about bronzers. We will be swatching them side by side, comparing shades and finishes so you can find the perfect bronzer for your skin tone and needs. I will help you decide where to spend your money and get the best bang for your buck. If this sounds exciting, give this video a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and let's get started. Let's start with my favorite category, cream bronzers. The first in this category is the Chanel Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream, and I have it in the shade 395 10 Deep Bronze. This is a beautiful bronze shade with reddish brown undertones, and it looks amazing on my medium dense skin. Now, the texture of this bronzer is really interesting. It's creamy, but it has a nice slip to it, so it's easy to get on your brush and blend it on your skin. The best part about Chanel bronzer is that it doesn't need a lot of blending. It dries down to a soft matte finish that lasts all day and won't budge my makeup underneath. If you look closely at the swatch, you will see some tiny shimmer particles. These don't show up on your skin at all, but they are there to add a hint of glow from within. This is a huge container and it's going to last me forever. So if you're curious about trying a Chanel cream bronzer, but you already have a few bronzers in your collection, I would recommend grabbing the travel size from their website. It's much more budget friendly. Switching gears to the Saie Sun Melt Cream Bronzer. I have it in the shade medium bronze. It has a warm golden undertone, and I love this kind of shade for an all over bronzer. It looks more natural on my medium tan complexion. Texture wise, the Saie bronzer is definitely creamier and feels more balmy compared to the Chanel one we just saw. But it's still super smooth and blends easily. What I really love about this bronzer is the glowy finish it gives to the skin. It's also buildable, so you can start with a sheer layer for a subtle hint of warmth, and then you can build it up for a more defined look. In my opinion, it's a good alternative to Chanel bronzer if you prefer a natural glowy finish, or if you're struggling to find a good shade in Chanel bronzer, or if you're looking for an affordable option. Next up is the NARS Laguna Bronzing Cream in shade 02. This shade is much more neutral compared to the Chanel or the Saie bronzer, so I can use this as my contour and bronzer. The formula itself is very creamy, but it's not quite as soft and balmy as the Saie bronzer, so it won't melt right into your skin. You will need to do a little more blending to buff it out. However, it does not disrupt my foundation and blends effortlessly. Just like the Chanel bronzer, it sets down to a soft matte finish. This NARS bronzer is also super pigmented, so a little really goes a long way. If I'm going for a more natural, everyday look, I like to use a damp beauty sponge to sheer it out and make it look seamless. All in all, this is a great bronzer worth checking out. Let's quickly talk about one of my favorite cream bronzer from Charlotte Tilbury. I have it in the shade medium too. This shade has much more warmth to it compared to the NARS Laguna, which is on the neutral side. The best thing about Charlotte Tilbury bronzer is that it has a cream to powder finish, so it applies and glides on the skin beautifully, just like a cream bronzer, and then it sets down to a powder finish. On my skin, it has a natural finish, so it's not too glowy, not too matte, and the longevity is insanely long. I think it's also a great choice for beginners who are just getting started with cream products. It's super user friendly and it's going to work for a lot of skin types. Definitely worth checking out. Another similar cream to powder formula is the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. The shade Golden Daze is amazing. It has this warm undertones that gives you that perfect sun-kissed look. The only thing to keep in mind is that this bronzer sets down a little faster than the Charlotte Tilbury one, so you have to blend it out a bit quicker to avoid any patchiness. The size of this bronzer is also a little smaller, So I kind of wish it came in a bigger pot so I could use my regular bronzer brushes for blending. But overall, if you're looking for a cream to powder bronzer with a gorgeous warm shade at a great price point, then this e.l.f. Putty Bronzer is a fantastic option. Now let's compare some of these cream bronzers in the stick format. First up, we have the popular Fenty Beauty Contour Skin Stick in the shade Mocha. On my skin tone, this is more of a bronzing shade rather than a contour. This is a matte formula and it's quite pigmented, so you will need to blend it out a bit more carefully to avoid streaks. But once you blend it out, it stays put all day long. No fading or smudging. I think this formula might be a better fit for oily skin types since it's on the matte side and the longevity is great. Another contour stick in my collection is the one from Westman Atelier in the shade Truffle. I love this shade. It's perfect for both bronzing and a subtle contour on my medium tan skin tone. When I first got this, I was surprised by how creamy it is. The formula doesn't feel as stiff as the Fenty matte stick and it's very easy to blend. It's also very pigmented, so I'm glad I got a mini. It is going to last me a long time. The finish is a beautiful semi matte and it just looks so natural on my skin. If you're in a mood to splurge on a luxurious cream bronzer stick, then this Westman Atelier one is definitely worth checking out. A very similar product in my experience is the Ciele Sculpt and Protect stick in the shade medium. This shade is a little deeper than the Westman Atelier Truffle, so it's perfect for adding more definition and sculpting to your face, but it still gives me that gorgeous sun-kissed look. Texture-wise, the CL stick is very similar to the Westman Atelier one. It's nice and creamy, so it blends out beautifully on the skin. Plus, it has SPF 30 built in, which is a major bonus for adding an extra layer of sun protection. The only downside is that the packaging feels a little cheap compared to the Westman Atelier one. But hey, the product itself is fantastic. It's creamy and blendable, it sets down to a natural finish on the skin, and it has SPF. What more could you ask for in a bronzer stick? Now let's talk about the most creamy bronzing stick in my collection. This is the LYS No Limits Cream Bronzer and Contour Stick in the shade Harmony. I love how buttery smooth this applies to the skin. However, this is richly pigmented, so a little goes a long way. It's super long lasting and sets down to a satin finish on the skin. The shade Harmony has warm golden undertones, so it is a perfect bronzing shade for me. I don't use this to contour my skin. The only real downside is that mine arrived a bit melted on the top. Looking at the formula, I think it might melt if you store it somewhere hot. So maybe skip taking this one on trips where it might get smushed in your makeup bag. The last bronzing stick in my collection is the Merit Bronze Balm in the shade Clay. This is very different from the other three bronzing sticks we talked about. First of all, it's a glowy sheer bronzer. The formula is also super hydrating on the skin, which is a huge win for my dry skin. The formula has got more slip and more emolliency in it compared to all the other bronzers that we just talked about. That means all I have to do is swipe it on and it blends out with barely any effort. Perfect for those days when I'm running out the door and I need a quick makeup routine. This is definitely my go-to bronzer for days when my skin needs some extra TLC. So if you're looking for a sheer glowy bronzer that's super easy to blend and hydrates your skin, then the Merit Bronze Balm is definitely worth checking out. Let's talk about another product that gives similar results with a different kind of packaging. This is the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer in the shade Medium. Similar to the Merit Bronze Balm, this has a super emollient formula that just melts right into your skin. That makes it so easy to apply and blend out, leaving the most beautiful dewy finish. I like that you can build up the color depending on how much intensity you want, making it a great option for beginners who are just getting used to of bronzers. I will talk about how this compares to the bronzing and shaping serum that is the newest addition to this line in the later part of this video. But before that, I quickly wanted to share with you two products that are very similar to Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer. First up is the Simi Haze Skin Suede Bronze Balm in the shade Oak 3. This one is deeper than the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer and it has some red undertones to it. Surprisingly, those red undertones don't end up looking muddy on my medium 10 skin tone. Overall, I find the Simi Haze to be a little more pigmented and less glowy compared to the Mario bronzer, but it's still super easy to apply and blend out. Another similar product from the drugstore is the Physicians Formula Diamond Bronzer in the shade Deep Bronze. If you haven't tried Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer or Merit Bronze Balm and you're not sure how this type of formula will work on your skin, this is an affordable option to try from the drugstore. This is as creamy and dewy as the Skin Enhancer and it lasts a long time on my dry skin. My only complaint with this product is the lack of shades for deeper skin tones. This only comes in two shades, and I have the darkest one with me. I would love to see Physicians Formula expand the range to include more options for deeper skin tones. The last bronzer in this category is the Milani Cheek Kiss Cream Bronzer in the shade 130 Spicy Season. This one has a different feel compared to some of the other creamy bronzers we saw. It's not quite as smooth and balmy as the Physicians Formula or the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer or the Simi Haze Bronzer. Instead, it sets down to a more natural finish on the skin. So if you're not a huge fan of the dewy or super glowy look, this might be your perfect match. Also, Milani offers a wider range of shades than the Physicians Formula bronzer, and the price point is fantastic. Plus, it wears all day long. Such an incredible product. Now, let's talk about liquid bronzers. First, we have these two liquid bronzers that come in tube style packaging. This is the Milk Makeup Bionic Bronzer. This one has been my go to bronzer in the winter months because of how hydrating it feels on the skin. It has a dewy finish and great longevity. The only downside of this product is that the formula separates in the tube, so you need to mix it before applying it on the face. I really wish Milk Makeup could fix this issue. If you're not a fan of dewy bronzers, then Glossier Cloud Paint Gel Bronzer might be a good alternative. It has a thin gel-like texture, so it is not as runny as Milk Makeup Bronzer, and there is no formula separation issue. It also dries down to a matte finish, which is perfect for people who want a more natural look. Basically, if you love a glowy, hydrating bronzer, go for Milk Makeup. But if you prefer matte, Glossier is your pick. Next, I have the Makeup by Mario Bronzing and Shaping Serum. First off, the packaging is genius. It comes with a pump and an applicator for those times you want more control and precision. I picked up the shade light medium in this because this color combined with the texture of this product truly gives me a natural bronzed look. The finish of this is so skin like that I can truly mimic that natural sun-kissed bronze look using this product. Also, I use this to mix in with my moisturizer to get an overall bronzed look or to darken up the foundation shades that are a tad light for me during the summer months. It is such a versatile product. Now, you might be wondering how this compares to the Skin Enhancer. In my experience, they both give you that subtle sun-kissed look and a healthy glow. The only difference is that with the bronzing and shaping serum, you have more flexibility in ways you use it, especially with the dual applicator. But you cannot go wrong with either one of these. The last liquid bronzer in my collection is the Saie Dew Bronze in the shade Swim. If you guys have watched my video about the cream and liquid blushes, you guys already know that I love their blush formula. And well, guess what? This bronzer uses the same formula. I was so hyped to try it. It is more pigmented compared to the Makeup by Mario Serum Bronzer. So if I'm going for a super natural look, I use a beauty blender to buff it out and make it sheer. Even though it's got some pigment, the formula is still buildable and lets your skin show through. That's what keeps it looking so natural. The finish isn't too dewy or glowy, so it's perfect for folks with combo to oily skin too. Just a quick pause before we dive into the last bronzer category. If you're enjoying this video so far, give it a big thumbs up. It really helps me see what kind of content you guys want to see more of. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the fam. Alright, back to the bronzers. Let's talk about a handful of powder bronzers in my collection. The newest in my collection is the NYX Buttermelt Bronzer. This one has a super soft, buttery formula that feels amazing on the skin. It actually reminds me a lot of the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in terms of how it applies, the texture, and even the scent. However, the NYX bronzer is insanely pigmented. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be a bit trickier to blend out and avoid patchiness if you're not careful. If you are a makeup pro and you have more control over your application, you might love that extra color payoff that you get with NYX bronzer. But if you're looking for something easier to use and more mistake proof, I did probably recommend the Physicians Formula bronzer instead. Both wear well throughout the day, so it really depends on what you're looking for. If you guys thought these two are the most buttery bronzers on the market, wait till you have tried the House Labs Velvet Bronzer. First of all, let's appreciate the packaging on this. It looks and feels like a luxury product. Now, here's the crazy part. This bronzer is a powder, but it doesn't act like one at all. It goes on smooth like a cream, blends out like a dream, and it lasts all day long just like a cream bronzer. The only way I can tell this is a powder formula is because a tiny bit of powder fall out when you dip your brush in it. But it's minimal, so I don't mind it. I have worn this bronzer in the summer heat and it doesn't budge. Seriously impressed. Let's switch gears and talk about some luxury bronzers. First up, the Gucci bronzing powder in shade 3. By the way, guys, if I forget to mention any shades throughout the video, I will have them all listed in the description box below. The packaging of this bronzer is insane. It comes in this teal and gold compact that seriously looks stunning and so classic. It just feels fancy. But the prettiness doesn't stop here. The powder itself is like silk. It's so soft and smooth. It blends out beautifully and doesn't look dry at all. Plus, it has this blurring effect that helps minimize pores and imperfections. Basically, if you're in a mood to treat yourself, this Gucci bronzer is definitely worth checking out. Another luxury bronzer is the Giorgio Armani Creamy Bronzing Powder in the shade 100. If you're on the hunt for a glowy bronzer, this is a good option. Now, it might look a bit shimmery in the pan, but don't worry, it doesn't translate that way on your face. Instead, it gives you this beautiful, radiant finish that lasts all day long. The texture feels creamy and smooth. It blends onto your skin easily. You get a natural looking, sun kissed glow without any cakiness. And the best part is, this stuff stays put even in the summer heat. The last bronzer in today's video is the one from L'Oreal. This is a fantastic choice for anyone looking for a long-wearing, affordable matte bronzer formula. I actually put this bronzer to the test on a recent trip to Hawaii and it held up beautifully in the intense humidity and heat. One thing to keep in mind with this formula is that it has a bit of kickback in the pan. So just be sure to tap off any excess product from your brush before applying it to your face. This will help ensure a smooth and even application. All right, everyone. That wraps up our bronzer showdown for today. Let me know in the comments below what is your current favorite bronzer. And if you have any bronzer recommendations for a girl on the hunt for her next holy grail, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video. And I will be back with another detailed comparison of all things beauty. I'll see you in my next one. Bye for now.